Good day, everyone. My name is Janelisa Arpaikan.
And I am GBM Kabilao.
Today, we're about to discuss the
parts of speech mechanism. Our objectives is student will be able to name the organs of speech and determine their functions.
The speech mechanism explains how the sounds are produced in the speech organs, the organs of a human body that are involved in the production of speech sounds, either directly or indirectly, are called organs of speech. Okay, so what do you think are the organs of speech mechanism? So the parts of a speech mechanism is number 1, the diaphragm, number 2, the lungs, number 3, the trachea, number 4, the larynx, number 5, the pharynx, the 6, epiglottis, the 7, glottis or the vocal cords, 8 is uvula, number 9 is velum, soft palate, number 10, hard palate, that's dome, 11, tongue, mouth, number 12, 13 is alveolar ridge, 14 is teeth, 15 is jaw, 16 is lips, and 17 is nose. Before we continue to discuss the organs of speech, let's get started with a small video where you will be able to appreciate how our speech organs work. As you can see in this video, a lot of speech organs are involved in the speech production. To produce sounds, you need more than your tongue and your lips to produce speech or sounds. Okay, now let's concentrate on each speech organ. Let's get started with the diaphragm. The diaphragm is the most powerful muscles in our body. It is located at the base of our lungs, and it protects the lungs and enables breathing. The diaphragm, or the role of the diaphragm, is where we get air to adjust the pressure during changing in volumes, and promotes rapid inspiration during connected speech. You will use that breath to speak. When you breathe in and then you breathe out, that's how you produce sounds. That is, we will be able to initiate speaking. So for example, when you breathe in, like the air goes to the diaphragm, then you breathe out, you will produce a sound. So next is the lungs. The lungs can be described as a large sponge that are alternately filled with air and emptied of it. It is the respiratory lung air that we breathe out that is basic for the articulation of most speech sounds. The lungs play a vital role in our life and in sound production as well. They bring oxygen to our body. The lungs expel the air used to produce speech, while the contractions of the diaphragm determine the power of the vocal sounds. Kaya minsan, ang mga singers at actors are reminded by their mentor or their coach to project from their diaphragm. Especially singers, when they hit high notes, they get air from the diaphragm or from the lungs. So next is the trachea, the passage for the flow of the air from the mouth to the oral and the nasal for the production of speech sounds. So the trachea is like a tube where the air passes through to produce the sounds. Next is the larynx. When we speak, muscles in the larynx bring the vocal cords together. As the air rushes from portion of the vocal cords to vibrate, producing a sound, the upper portion of our throat then modifies the sound to produce speech. When a speech occurs, when airflow from the lungs up the windpipe, the trachea, and through the voice box, the larynx. This causes the vocal cords to vibrate, creating sounds. It means When the air that flows from the trachea hit the larynx, it is the voice box. It creates vibration that causes sounds and creates sounds. Sound is shaped into words by the muscles controlling the soft palate, the tongue, and the lips. So next is the pharynx. Common passageway for air and food. It is located behind the nose and the mouth and includes the cavity at the back of the tongue. So the pharynx is a common passageway of food and air. Also, its role, it plays a very important role to the speech mechanism, projecting speech, sound possible by the passage also of the vibration that is to make sounds. Next is the epiglottis. This is a leaf-shaped cartilaginous flap. Prevents the food to enter the passageway of respiratory system while swallowing. It is an articulator in the production of pharyngeal consonants, and in the vowel a, it is also involved in whisper. For example, when you say mad or when you say bad, you include the vowel a. And also in whispering, before we continue, when we say articulator, it is any of the vocal organs above the larynx, including the tongue, lips, teeth, and the hard palate. Continue to glottis, the vocal cords. The Adam's apple contains larynx. Larynx contains vocal cords. The vocal cords contract and expand, vibrate and do not vibrate when the air produced in lungs is passing through. This vocal tract leading to production of different sounds, the phonemes. Glottis is the gap formed in the middle of the vocal cords because of its different varying positions. When the vocal cords is completely blocked, the glottis sound Q is produced. The glottis is used to control the vibrations. It is the glottal stop made by the vocal cords in order to make different sounds. Okay, let's say for example, take the word kitten, which phonemically is kitten. Here, the T is followed directly by a syllabic N, so may be produced as a glottal stop, meaning this word could end up sound like more kitten. Instead of kitten, it's pronounced as kitten because of the glottal stop. Other examples in American English are cotton. Instead of saying cotton, they say cotton, or mitten, mitten, and button, button. And also, for example, when you say water, we say water, but some British people, they say water because of the glottal stop. And also, they say how would you do? We say how would you do, but they say how would you do. That's because they use the glottal stop. And also, yeah, like that, like butter, they say butter. That's it.
Okay, I will continuing the parts of the discussion. Next is uvula. Small knob on the lower border of the soft palate. It is a movable tip at the middle of the free border of the soft palate. The uvula is used to make guttural sounds. It helps to make nasal consonants by stopping air from moving through the nose. Uvula, it function in tandem with the back of the throat, the palate, and air coming up from the lungs to create a number of guttural and other. In many languages, it closes to prevent air escaping through the nose when making some sounds. Example, L, L, and S, S, S. The next is velum or soft palate. The function of the soft palate is to aid swallowing and breathing by altering the patency of the respiratory and digestive tracts respectively. Furthermore, the soft palate plays an important role in speech as it enables the pronunciation of velar consonants together with the tongue. The velum performs two important roles in speech. The tongue body touches the velum in gap, gap, gas, canyon, new, nanya. Next is hard palate or dome. The hard palate is the arch bone structure which forms the front part of the roof of the mouth from behind the alveolar ridge up to the area known as the soft palate or velum. Like the alveolar ridge, the tongue touches and taps the palate when articulating speech. The hard palate is the hard part of the roof of the mouth. Sounds that are made with the hard palate are called palatal sounds. For example, consonants G and words. Examples are jar, G.
Next is the tongue. The tongue plays a very dominant role in the production of speech sounds in a position of rest. The front of the tongue lies opposite the soft palate. Tongue sounds. Open your mouth slightly without touching your lips or teeth, with your tongue and without movement of your lower jaw. Practice making the la, ta, da, na sounds.
La, ta, da, na. La, ta, da, na. The next is mouth, divided into the vestibule and the oral cavity proper. Vestibule is felt by placing the tongue tip outside the teeth but inside the lips. Oral cavity is felt by refracting the tongue, closing the jaws, and moving the tongue about. It is to open your mouth wider when you say vowels and consonants. It is a really necessary open your mouth, so try it with me. Ah, E, O, and A, B, C, D to G. That is how the mouth moves. Next is alveolar ridge. To make different sounds known as alveolar sounds, the tongue touches the ridge found on this organ. The alveolar ridge is a structure that lies directly behind the upper front teeth. It is considered an important structure in speech because the tongue tip continually touches the ridge to form consonant sounds that are produced with the tongue close to or touching the ridge behind the teeth on the roof of the mouth. The name comes from alveoli, the sockets of the teeth. The consonant sounds, example, t. T is t, and n, and d is da, are all alveolar sounds. Next is tet, embedded in the alveolar ridge or gum ridges of oral cavity. The teeth help form words by controlling airflow out of the mouth. Teeth are needed for a variety of the sounds we use in the English language, like the SH sound in show, the F in friend, the SS smile, and the CH in chocolate. Just think of what you would sound like if you had no front teeth and you tried to see she sells seashells by the seashore. Next is jaw. Jaw position is well known to affect vowel height and also plays a role in the manner of consonantal articulation. Is an important speech organ because of its ability to alter the shape of the mouth by its upwards and downwards movement. The alterations has a striking effects on the sounds produced. Vowels described as a close, half open, and open, which are actually distinguished by the position of the lower jaw. It supports the mouth to widely open and produce speech. Next is lips. The lips play a role in changing the resonance of different speech sounds. By altering the shape of our lips, we can form different speech sounds. For instance, for plosive sounds such as P, pa, and B, ba, the lips are compressed and then open to produce a rapid, explosive release of the breath stream. The lips, the upper and the lower lips have important role in producing certain speech sound, especially in producing vowels movements. Closing the lips and then releasing the closure abruptly. Example, pot, bot. Closing the lips and making nasal consonant. Example, man. Protrude and rounded. Example, bot. Spread. Example, beds. Neutral, not spread, not rounded. Example, about. And the lastly is nose. Consists of the external and internal portions. Nostrils are the opening of the external nose. Nasal cavity, internal nose, is directly behind the external nose through which the air passes. On each way to pharynx symptom divides the external nose into two separate passageways. Nasal and phonetic speech sound in which the airstream passes through the nose as a result of lowering of the soft palate or velum. At the backs of the mouth, the aim nasal sound is made by pressing the lips together lightly and vibrating the vocal cords. Air moves through the nose. Words that use the M nasal sound: mom, marry, name, mine, mouth, moon, summer, dimmer, and come. That's all for today's discussion. Thank you for listening and God bless. Bye!